You can never have too many fishing rods, as you can see here. There's always a use for each and every one. From catching bait fish all the way up to stopping a rampaging kingfish. I'm just going to go over a few of my setups here and show you what I use them for, what line I have on them. These are all used for my kayak with pretty good success. All of these rods and reels only max out at about $350, and that's as high as I really am willing to go on setups unless it's for big game or something like that. My soft bait sets are only about 150 each, and as I come up here they start to get a little bit more of the thorium being quite upper end, and then moving further along you really need to put a bit of money into the sets that you're going to catch really good fish on. You need to not really skimp on that sort of stuff. If you're going to catch a kingfish, it needs to be the right sort of gear. So these two rods here are my soft bait sets. I have two Sedonas. I have the newer XT and the older FE. For my rods, I have a Black Magic Softbait 221 and a Katana 4 to 8 kilo. Now both of these are around the 7 foot mark and are really long and good for casting. I've used this Katana rod for a number of years and it's really been one of the better rods I've ever had, with really good lifting power. You can get those fish up to the surface and get that net shot, like this big trevally. Oh, yes! I will normally run about 6 to 8 kilo braid on these sets and 15 to 30 pound leader, because you don't need to go too heavy when you want to have some fun with your rods. My next set is a fairly recent addition, my Shimano Kayak and Katana combo. Now this one is a little 2 to 4 kilo set I'm going to be using for trout. I'm also going to be using it out on the saltwater, and as you can see it's pretty long at about 7 foot. It also has this nice little butt section that makes it really comfortable for when I'm fighting fish. I have it spooled up with almost 300 meters of 4 kilo braid. It's quite amazing how much you can actually get on there. Normally I will run 8 to 15 pound leader on this because it's really light. This rod certainly catches fish too. Trout are very hard to keep on the line sometimes. It's really nice having a nice soft rod to pull them in. I will begin to get into some of the really good gear. I have two ledger rods currently, and this one on the left here is the Thorium 14. I use this one for pretty much all of my gurnard, snapper, kahwai and any other bottom fish. The other rod on the right is my Cortez CZ5. Now I've had that rod for about 6 years and it's continued to perform, catching me that really good tuna at the Kayak Classic just a few weeks ago. Both of these are spooled up with 15 kilo braid, and I use the heavier stuff because I actually need to fill out the reels completely. 8 kilo I would have closer to 500 meters on the reels. Both rods are nice and long at almost 7 foot. These rods can be used for a variety of things, but the main thing I do use them for is bottom fishing with ledger rigs. They do an amazing job and I've caught some great fish on them. This one here is my 22 pound snapper. You can see how it just handles it like it's nothing. I always really liked the Vortex's action, but it became pretty apparent when I need to lead a fish of this size into the net. Not to be outdone, my Cortez has also caught some epic fish over the years. One of the many albacore tuna that this rod slayed while I was over in Taranaki. It's also caught some many other fish, including kingfish, gurnard, and lots of snapper. I've recently started to get into stray lining a lot more, and I've seen quite a bit of success on larger snapper. This one here is a Coronado CDX 60, and that's on a tournament concept rod from Akuma. And that's quite a short rod and pretty thin compared to some of the other rods over here. Like these are rods about 6 to 10 kilo sort of weight, and this one here is rated pretty highly. It's rated to a big jig size, PE4 or something, and really thin and really light. This one here has 15 kilo braid on it, and I like to use this for stray lining over the mono. Ever since I swapped over to braid, I've always just enjoyed how sensitive the feel is, and it doesn't seem to make a huge difference to me if I run quite a long leader. I get a bit of stretch in the leader, and then I just use the braid on the main line. Over the years, I've landed a number of snapper over 10 pound on this setup, and can't really fault it. We're getting to the real business end of rods now. These are my jigging and live bait sets and heavy deep water. This is my Finel offshore, and it has caught me countless kingfish over 10 kilos. I have it spooled with 24 kilo rainbow braid, and there's about 350 meters on there. The rod is nice and short, well under 6 foot. I recently got this Cortez 10 with a tournament concept rod at the Taranaki Kayak Classic as a prize, and I will be using this in the near future for jigging for kingfish, and hope to land an even bigger one. This rod is going to be much better than my Finel offshore, since it is quite a bit lighter and will make it just easier on my arms jigging all day. I really can't fault my Finel offshore, because it's really done some amazing things over the years. Even though it's a little bit heavy, it still has all the grunt that you need to land a big kingfish. My first big one on the kayak was landed with this rod, and I won't forget it anytime soon. So I hope you all enjoyed the little insight into all of my gear, and I'll be making more videos over the next few weeks, and I'll see you then.